Hey everybody, it's Zach here and happy Thursday. Welcome to the Hot and Cold channel on YouTube. As a lot of you have already probably guessed, we're going to be talking about a New York Times article that Stephanie talked about in the first video on Monday about how treating bipolar disorder is like treating addiction recovery, or is treating bipolar disorder like addiction recovery. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so this week's topic, as a lot of you already know, relates back to a New York Times article that Stephanie recently posted on Monday and sent to all of us vloggers about a schizophrenic man going through treatment and how treating mental illness is like treating addiction. I'm going to include a link to the article in the drop box below. That way I'm not wasting too much time talking about the article instead of actually talking about what the article means for all of us. So you can go there. You can also check out the other videos that have been posted so far to get a closer look at that. I'm going to talk about an experience of my own first. When I was in the hospital last October, it was a psychiatric hospital for adults, ages 18 and up, and it had two wings. And in one wing you had the psychotics, the DIDs, the BPDs, basically anyone that the hospital believed that they could harm themselves or harm others was in one wing. And then the other wing was basically everyone else. You had mood disorders such as bipolar and depression, you had anxiety disorders, but you also had a lot of substance abusers and a lot of people with addictions. And what was interesting about the wing that I was put in the wing with the bipolars, the depressives, the people who were addicted to different substances. We were all paired up with people with a similar illness. So those who were going through addiction recovery were in a room together. Those who were, depressive had a roommate who was depressive. I didn't have a roommate, so I very much didn't experience that aspect of it. But no matter what problems we were going through, we were all treated the same way, and we all went through the same basic treatment, which was we saw a therapist on our own, we saw a psychiatrist on our own, and with them we talked about personal problems, but a lot of our time was spent together in group therapy. And like I said, there were a lot of substance abusers, so you had everyone from people that were using heroin, or people that were using crystal meth, or alcoholics, or people that were addicted to cocaine or crack. And it was interesting to see them all treat us exactly the same way, as though that we were in control, whether we were bipolar or depressed or anxious or whatever. We were all in control and we could all take care of ourselves. It didn't matter if we were addicted to something or otherwise. And a lot of the language they used with me when I was in treatment as a person with bipolar was language they used with people who had addictions. They're like, oh, you need to control your environment. You need to, you're addicted to this behavior, so you can't do this, or you need to avoid doing this. And I thought that was really interesting because I'd never come across it that way before. And I didn't like it. I didn't like being compared to the person in the next room who would shoot up heroin a few times a week. I didn't like feeling or being treated that way. And then Stephanie, a few days ago, sent us all this article and we took a look through it. And it got me thinking. And I saw my therapist on Monday and I saw my psychiatrist Tuesday, and I mentioned it to them. And we got to talking, and a lot of what I'm going to talk about now relates back to those conversations. And the first thing I wanted to say is, at first I disagreed with it. I did not want to compare being treated for bipolar like it was an addiction. I didn't think of it as an addiction. But the more I thought about it, I have certain instances that I crave. Since I've started the Seroquel about 3.5 months ago, my depressive episodes are almost non-existent. I'm almost never depressed anymore, and if I am, it only lasts about a day or two. My manic episodes have stayed, and while they're more controllable, I love them in a lot of ways. That's the one part of this illness that sometimes keeps me away from treatment because I love this aspect of it so much. I love feeling like I'm alive and that I can do whatever I want and that I can go out and, you know, speed down highways, or I could steal this or steal that and no one will catch me because I'm invincible in this moment. The hypersexuality, that feeling like, oh, I'm a huge stud and I'm attractive, and maybe you think I am. But this feeling that I can get whatever person I want in the bar and that I'm the top guy. This feeling of being incredibly overconfident and feeling that I'm the best person that I can be. And in a lot of ways, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's good that I have this confidence at certain points. Maybe it's good that I have this productivity, that I can think I can do whatever I want. But at the same time, I wouldn't be lying if I said that I wasn't addicted to that. Because whenever I come out of a manic episode, then I'm waiting for it to start up again. Like, I can't wait to feel that way again. And it causes problems because, like I said, I can indulge in dangerous behaviors. You know, the speeding, breaking the law, even hypersexuality, though it's never happened before, but if one day I just decide I'm going to go off with some random stranger and hook up, it probably won't turn out too well. So I think I'm addicted to that behavior in a certain sense. Even being depressed sometimes, though it hasn't happened in a while, I became really used to lying in bed all day, not being able to get up, feeling that the world was against me, so that when I stopped having these depressive episodes, I didn't quite know what to do because I wasn't used to feeling normal. And I guess it's the same way when you're addicted to something. When you come off that drug, you're not used to living life off that drug. You still crave for it, you want it, you desire it. The other aspect of treating bipolar disorder to addiction recovery is that with addiction recovery, you're often told to control the environment around you. Control your environment so that you're not around alcohol, you're not around drugs, you're not around this or that, so that you can stay sober. And maybe in some ways with bipolar disorder you do that too. You control your environment, you eliminate outside stressors in your life that could trigger an episode. The problem with, if you're an addict, the stimulus will always be external, I think. And maybe you'll disagree with me. And if you do, good, because I'm going to get to that later. In my mind, the stimulus is external, that it's the alcohol that's the trigger, it's the cocaine that's the trigger, it's the drug that's the trigger. Whereas if you're bipolar, I feel like the stimulus is internal. So that even if you control your environment in such a way that you don't think you'll go into these episodes, shit happens. And one random day, even though nothing truly is happening, maybe nothing stressful is happening, you just immediately switch into being depressed or switch into being manic. So that's the differentiation that I see, is that if you're an addict, the stimulus is more external, and if you're bipolar, the stimulus is very much inside yourself. So it's difficult because, at least for me personally, I feel that no matter how I control my environment, there's still always that risk that I'll become addicted to a behavior inside myself. There's only so much that I can do about my environment, but I still may wake up one morning and I'm depressed again, or one night I'll go out and I'll feel on top of the world. So that's the difference that I see. If you disagree with me, great. Comment, get the conversation going. Originally when I started this video, I was going to try and be as objective as possible so as not to offend anyone, but then I realized I don't care. If I offend you, good, because what this channel is all about is starting that conversation and getting a good, think tank going where we're discussing these ideas, because this isn't just about us as vloggers or what we think, it's about what you think too. This is a community. So, like I said, I'm going to put a link to the article in the drop box below. Feel free to comment on anything I've said so far. Leave me questions, comments, concerns, hate mail, whatever. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye, guys.